So, I'm not gonna lie, I kinda love CatDog. It's not always the pinnacle of quality. In fact, it fluctuates pretty dramatically from episode to episode. But there's something about the show's mix of Ren and Stimpy absurdism, Daffy Duck-like glee at injuring its main characters for hubris-filled laughs, and basic sitcom banter and heart that makes it so endearing to me. Add in the really fun soundtrack and the relatively small voice cast performing a ton of roles. And it's just one of those shows that you feel the effort pouring out of in spite of its limitations. And at the heart of all of that, the one element that actually makes the show work is CatDog themselves.
I'll show you how poor and desperate we are.
The shape of the character naturally leads itself to comedy, literally squashing and stretching their body together like the cartoons of old, sometimes to ridiculous extents to really get the most out of cartoon violence. Cat and Dog are such adventurously fun losers, bickering through their successes and bumbling forward long enough to look like they're about to succeed, and then get the rug pulled out from under them just at the last minute for a laugh. It's really hard not to like them. And it's the very dynamic that makes CatDog unique that stops them from being great video game characters. CatDog is a weird shape for a video game protagonist. The same noodly body that makes him perfect for cartoon comedy being rough to translate for your average platformer or Nicktoons variety beat-em-up. In order to keep CatDog in line with everyone else, either you have to squash up their bodies side by side, which looks weird and is hard to animate outside of a vehicle, or you put them on their hind legs, which... I mean, I kinda get what you're going for, but it really limits what makes them unique. And moreover, the core of their character, the effort from one hurting the other leading to hilarious slapstick that sometimes can put them ahead of where they started, is hard to really reflect in a video game. You can't just shove CatDog in a game as easily as, say, SpongeBob. Mr. SquarePants just needs his trademark optimism, some reflexes, and for the game to control reasonably well, and he's ready for just about anything a game could throw at him outside of educational television. CatDog, by contrast, need careful consideration to really get the most out of their antics as a character, an understanding of how they move, how they play off one another, and most importantly, how to use a game's systems to bring their unique features to the forefront. And up to this point, the best effort has been this.
Hey, CatDog! Never mind.
And now, years later, here we are again. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl is the most recent foray in the tried-and-true tradition of throwing the Nicktoons at whatever and seeing what sticks. And CatDog have found their way onto a fighting game roster, riding a wave of 90s nostalgia. While the crazy chaos of a platform fighting game might seem like the perfect fit for the feline canine, quadrupedal fighters still prove tricky to implement in any fighting game. The way their body moves, their lower center of gravity and hunched over stance, how they interact with any additional items or mechanics, all of these things have to be considered and weighed against the rest of the cast. And at its worst, well, it can really not work out, especially in terms of balance. Slotting CatDog into a fighting game adds extra complications to what's already an incredibly difficult to adapt character. And the team at Ludosity does it with aplomb. Not only are CatDog's characters taken into consideration, not only is their unique shape worked with rather than around to create a dynamic character, but their design is made to work complementary to the mechanics of the game. CatDog is a character who could only function half as well as they do in All-Star Brawl. And the way that the personality, the design, the gameplay all mesh together to revive the spirit of CatDog, let viewers and players experience their joy and chaos in a way that's as fresh as it is gratifying to finally feel done right. To get the simple out of the way, yes, CatDog is on all fours, they actually look good in motion, and when they get on their hind legs, it's with purpose for an animation or blocking. It's weird to bring up that CatDog actually looks and animates like CatDog as a positive, but like, it took 20 years just to get to this point. Let's give credit where credit's due, right? More importantly, their posture and animations not only preserve the character of CatDog, but celebrate it and bring out the unmistakable feeling of playing as the bicranial quadruped incredibly well. Most of CatDog's attacks make the most out of using their stretchy body, extending for Dalsim-like uppercuts or double side covering headbutts. The bounciness of their body is utilized offensively very well. They got the garbage truck run in there as a dash attack.
Wait, dog, we can't.
All of the elements and references you'd hope CatDog would have are tossed in there and well represented. Even their stature is used to its fullest, the duo being able to low profile a lot of attacks while standing still, but while exerting themselves in stretching out and warping their body, the brothers are very susceptible to being pounded by an errant hitbox. CatDog's design is focused on getting the most possible out of their physical form, both weaponizing it to its logical extreme for a fighting game, and representing the self-destructive way CatDog moves beautifully. And more than that, Nick All-Star Brawl absolutely nails the personality of the duo. Not only does it portray the dysfunction of the two, their jab being Cat shaking Dog to take this seriously, their bouncy bickering just happens to hit those in their way, their strong dash attack is a literal cartoon fight cloud between the two, and above that, all of the little details are just right. Cat reacts with disgust as Dog spews out a bone, while Dog inhales to help Cat heave out a hairball. Cat almost always looks perpetually annoyed or enraged, except when the two are jumping, showing Cat let loose and ultimately enjoying the chaos that he and Dog bring on. When they're knocked down, one bonks the other on the head in frustration as a get-up attack. The full gamut of CatDog's emotions is put out there to enjoy. They still squabble and cause a ton of harm to both themselves and everyone caught in their crossfire, sure. But ultimately, they still care a ton about each other and work together to have fun and succeed at what they do. And considering how easy it'd be to have them constantly fighting, and how budgetarily restrained certain other members of the cast are insofar as expressions go,
It's extremely expensive and extremely painful.
the little bits of effort to really capture CatDog's dynamic go a long way in making them feel complete. But of course, nothing embodies the idea of two heads being more than one than CatDog's tag team mechanic. With just the press of a button, CatDog twists around and changes which bestial brother takes the lead. And... Hey, what? Oh,
It allows for each of them to shine independently. For example, the clearly superior Dog can become ridiculously juiced, with huge hitboxes that make opponents think twice about approaching.
I'm just talking about a peaceful deterrent, like our nuclear arsenal.
Meanwhile, Dog's boomerang bone is just Dog playing fetch with himself, which is great. And then he can hit the projectile right back at his opponent like a much-beloved Gordo, setting up all kinds of mind games and approach options that just come naturally to Dog. Whenever the mailman Mauler's in the lead, CatDog's playstyle becomes more generalized, covering more options, being a lot simpler and more predictable, but a lot stronger and respectable, much like Dog himself.
Cat, meanwhile, takes a more specialized approach. His hairballs are more traditional projectiles, sent out to keep opponents at bay and bait them into one of CatDog's many stretchy normals. His feline fist is made for ending ladder combos and perfectly spaced reads, and his little punch is a far more effective combo ender and panic option than Dog's bulkier, slower swings. Cat is every bit the opportunist and wimp he is in the show, having weaker and less impressive strikes built to hit below the belt. Yet it's only by working together with the chaos that Dog brings that he's able to actually succeed and...
Acknowledge the active superiority of his better half. Now then, this would all be well and good in most platform fighters. The guest character has been represented well with a moveset that complements their personality. Awesome, the baseline expectation has been fully achieved. But in most platform fighters, CatDog as they are just wouldn't work. Platform fighters are very directionally focused. One needs to be able to act out and strike in every direction at a moment's notice. CatDog is directionally agnostic, to say the least. While one head is clearly behind the other in many regards, neither head is more important than the other in making up their core character. Having one delegated to just back airs or having them swap wildly during attacks would compromise either who they are or their readability as a fighting game character. Not to mention the headache of trying to figure out which one is out in front whenever they turn around a few times. In order for CatDog to work, the player controlling them needs to be able to confidently maneuver them around the stage, to be sure of which one is in front, and have moves that reflect their overall teamwork, or lack thereof really, in order to have both of them contribute to the destruction of Dog's foes, begging him for mercy as he...
And Nick All-Star Brawl doesn't just satisfy these conditions, it lets CatDog excel because of them. The game features a strafe button, letting players stay locked facing a single direction. This not only lets a player easily see which head of CatDog is sticking out in front, but opens up new possibilities for the pair, letting Cat and Dog weave backwards, retreating with their projectiles as they find the perfect moment to strike. Nick ASB also lacks a distinction between forward and backward-facing attacks. If you hit a button, you're getting the same attack regardless of if your stick's pointed left, neutral, or right. This obviously eliminates the need for CatDog's moves to commit to one being the head and the other being the inferior posterior, but by creating an all-purpose horizontal move with their stretch, this pushes CatDog to really shine as a fighter. CatDog's super long body stretches nice and far through all of their attacks, each one almost specialized to hitting either above, below, or to the side of them. This makes it almost trivial for the two to combo these moves into themselves, carrying opponents off as they link stretch after stretch, double dance after double dance, pinballing the opponent around. And then you throw in Nick's air dashing and wave dashing, making them insanely mobile, and you've awakened the beast. CatDog's approaches are all very specialized into one direction, making them easy to call out. But they're an insanely fluid character, chasing their opponent off the stage in any direction they want, dashing forward and back as they look for the right time and right angle to strike from. CatDog is always waiting for that opening to rush in and let the cartoon violence they're known for take over, dogging their opponents with perfect strikes for the situation. But if they choose wrong, stretch in the wrong direction, that specialization is turned right against them, as they're very quickly overcome by the opponent using Nickelodeon's built-in rock-paper-scissors system with strong attacks to leave them stunned. No character benefits from All-Star Brawl's mechanics more than CatDog. They're perfect for a rushdown focused game, can capitalize on knocking the opponent out in every direction, and can be called out for their most powerful nonsense, letting them get pounded instead. And no other character in this roster can pull it off quite like CatDog can. Their weird body that had so limited them in the past, combining with slapstick violence, make them an incredible fit for all that Nick's systems have to offer. Plenty of platform fighters may have great combo strings, but none of them are so flexible and fun, yet inflexible and balanced, as good old CatDog.
It just doesn't get any better than this.
I know I'm going on and on about how amazing it is that a game got a bunch of basic mechanics right. How this goofy cartoon character hasn't had great video games, and lo and behold, a savior appears to redeem them. I know it's silly, but it's really fun, and I really liked CatDog as a kid, so let me have this. And more than that, I think it's important to address just what makes a character work in adaptation. Not every property is going to have an easy answer as to where its characters would fit in a video game world. Not every character a Mario who can adapt to any genre you throw at him. You're gonna have oddballs like CatDog in there. And while you can work around them, the harder but much more rewarding path is working with them to bring out the most you can. Maybe you'll do something crazy like need to throw Dora the Explorer into the fighting game. Maybe you'll need to collaborate with someone to figure out how to get that to work. Maybe you'll need to think of innovative ways to use Swiper the Fox to change the meta forever. Yeah, maybe someone will do that. Take advantage of all the wonderful and weird aspects that such a character has to offer. By using their unique elements and stretching the limits of what a game system can do, rather than trying to find ways to break the rules for these weirdos, you'll discover how to get the very most out of your roster. You'll discover how to design for integrity.